Here we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Main Zone. I am Jermaine. Thank you for tuning my podcast. Wherever you are, however you're listening or watching, as always, I appreciate it. Keep liking, keep subscribing, keep leaving comments. Seriously, I really appreciate it. It's been a couple weeks since I made my bad prediction about the NBA Finals. But it happened. We'll go into that here in a second. The phenomenal job that the Warriors did, but took a couple weeks off. Just to enjoy my summer a little bit with the family. Had to take a trip out to Atlanta. Did some great things out there. Spent some time with some family, some friends, some people that I hadn't seen in a long time. So, I'm back though. I'm back. So let's get to it. Lot to cover today. A lot to talk about today. I'm gonna dive in. I'm gonna talk about the Brittney Griner situation. We're gonna talk about the Warriors title. Let's talk about NBA free agency. The new media versus the old media. Sports talk shows in general, how they are now, which is sometimes over the top. But before we get into all that, let's start with a little cinema news. For those that know him as Sonny, James Caan actually passed away yesterday, or the 6th of July. I didn't watch a lot of his movies. I know he was in Elf. I remember him in Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think he played in the coach in The Program, I believe. But his most famous role for me, and probably for a lot of you all listening and watching, was The Godfather. He played Sonny. And iconic character. I can go all day. Number one, Godfather is my favorite movie. Shout out to my man Tony Pilgrim. If you check out this episode, you know where we stand with The Godfather. Favorite movie of all time. His character, though, his role that he played in is Sonny Corleone. And he is the eldest son of the Godfather, Vito. And his temperament is one of, he's a hothead, but he's also very passionate about his family. And growing up watching that movie so many times, I related to him in so many ways. My mom even used to use the movie as teaching moments for me in how I would conduct myself when I would get frustrated. So many key lines that the movie has with him in it. When the scene when Sonny speaks out of turn when Vito's meeting with Saluzzo, and he lets him know, like, hey, do you spend time with your family? Just his character, even when he went to rescue Connie when she was being abused by her husband, he went and handled that, and at the end though ended up getting him killed when he was set up. But just fantastic character. I've related to him my whole life. So rest in peace, Mr. James Caan. 82 years young, phenomenal career in cinema. But that was my guy. Anytime The Godfather comes on, I turn it on. So I'll watch it from a different space now. But let's move on. But again, rest in peace, sir. Now let's dive into a lot of I want to talk new media, old media. I want to talk about this Brittney Griner thing right quick though. As you know, she pled guilty, bringing some marijuana oil into Russia. All right, so then there's two parts of this. One, people like the coach of the Mercury, Vanessa Nygaard. She was saying that if this was LeBron James, that he'd already be home, Okay, well, this is LeBron James. He probably brought the weed oil into Russia. Let's just end it right there. Let's stop the narrative of it's because she is her sexual orientation. Let's not have the narrative that she's a female. Let's just state the fact that she should have known better. Like the arrogance that somebody has to think that they can go into another country and do whatever they want to do, let alone Russia, is beside me. I mean, she should have known better. Do I think she should do 10 years in prison in Russia? Heck no, I do not. Do I think she should be home and free? Yes. I think there's much worse things that people are in prison for than what she is pled guilty to. But at the same time, this is not America. This is another country. You have to abide by their laws, and you need to know that going in. Like, period. You should know that she knew better. And it might have been for her own personal consumption. I don't think she's going out there to be a dealer, but she should have known better. It's now the whole thing. Oh, she's going over there to make more money. I mean, I believe she makes, in the WNBA, probably their max salary. So that's by choice of lifestyle that she chooses, And I understand that she sent President Biden a letter. I understand that President Biden met with her family and all those types of things. But you have to know better. You're not a kid. You're not 15 years old, doing a prank. You have to know your consequences when you do something like that, especially in a country like Russia. So I'm going to stay in the WNBA. Let's talk about Sabrina Ionescu. First 30-point triple-double in WNBA history. Fantastic. The sad part about that is nobody's talking about it. So I'm starting my show off today with Brittney Griner, who plays in WNBA, which is a different situation than Sabrina, but then Sabrina's excellence. And it goes to my thing with the WNBA is that they don't market their game enough. Like, I watched intentionally, and I'm going to get into this in a second with old versus new media, but I intentionally watched in the last 2 days, like 6 hours of sports talk. And she had a 2-minute plug on an NBA show on ESPN. That was it. Like, first time in their league history. It's the summertime. So the only thing going on is baseball, and summer league basketball just started. And you don't even really talk about her. Like, I watched First Take. Not First Take. I've never watched First Take anymore. I was watching Undisputed. And yesterday talked about Chet Holmgren for about 40 minutes of the 2.5 hour show. That kid got a 40-minute plug on how great he's going to be, and his first summer league stat line, and how he played yesterday, which the stat line wasn't as great, and they never even mentioned it. So WNBA, please do a better job marketing. I like women's sports. I support them greatly. I have a daughter. Heck, I coach more women's sports at my school than I do men. So it's not that I'm opposed to women's sports at all. It's just we have got to find a way to promote them more. It's just not enough promotion. The game is different. I get it, but I can't name you 10 WNBA players right now. I don't see them on commercials. I don't know. I don't know how you market it the right way, especially from the standpoint of them wanting the players wanting more money. I'm all for people getting all the money that they can get, but the reason NBA players get so much money is based off the revenue that they generate. You just can't be out here asking for $1.5 million or $1 million contracts and you don't bring in any money. So that's my thing. But big shout out to Sabrina for that 30-point triple-double. And to top it off, she had no turnovers. I mean, that's huge. Took over the game against the Aces, and just great job. I just wish I wish they would talk about it more. I really do. All right, so before we go into, let's talk about the Warriors. Uh, First, let's talk about media. Let's stay in media. Let's just stay in media. Okay, so you see after the championship, the Warriors, Draymond has been really going at it. His tour on different podcasts, his own platform, which is great for him to have. I know he was on JJ Redick's podcast. He's been making the rounds, talking about new media versus old media. So for him, old media are guys that have never done it, that use clickbait or don't break down the game to his liking. In new media, I think he's really referring to himself and JJ Redick. CJ McCollum has his own platform as well. Several other guys, but they break down the game from a not an analytical standpoint, but from a like an X's and O's standpoint, which is good for teaching. But then at the same time, they're critical of players, but they're not demeaning of players. I think Draymond does have a point. When you watch media now, it's all about clickbait. It's all about, what did such and such say today? Like if you're watching these sports shows, it's the same four stories the entire time. They don't mention baseball. They don't mention somehow yesterday they were talking about LeBron. LeBron hadn't played in 2 months. So I get what Draymond is saying. I side with him on this in this aspect. Now, more than ever, since sports are just 24/7, a revolving door that just, it's a cycle that just never ends. Analysts I shouldn't say analysts, personalities, literally just sit around all day and more often than not, they pick a side of a guy that they like, and no matter what, they stick with him. No matter what. Like, I love Shannon Sharp. Love his platform. But he'll talk about LeBron James as if he's, just doesn't do anything wrong, And then Skip will rave about KD and then blast Steph for his, let's say, a bad quarter in the finals. But KD can't get out the first round. He's like, yeah, he's the best player on the planet. This proves that he is because he wants out of Brooklyn. Like, come on, man. Like, where are y'all going with this? It's literally all day, every day. Like, going back to even, the 50 minutes on Chet Holmgren. I was in shock when they spent that much time talking about this kid over a summer league game. There is so much going on in sports. Overall, the Open is coming up next week. Baseball is going on. Aaron Judge is having a phenomenal season for the Yankees. Man, it's just, how does he have these 5 topics? I get it. Football's not started yet. Like today, they spent like 30 minutes talking about Baker Mayfield. I get it. Football hasn't started yet. And I get it. Basketball is something that pushes their ratings. But come on, man. Like, try to give it something different. But try not to just over psychoanalyze athletes to me, it's to make yourself feel better. It's like these guys are the top of their profession. Will they have a bad moment? Yes. Is that okay? Yes. Do they make a lot of money? Yes. Should you sit around and talk about, let's say, Russell Westbrook? When he showed up at the press conference when they introduced Darvin Ham, they had like a 30-minute segment on that. Like, why is he there? Supporting the new coach. Why not? Why read into it so much? Or when Draymond said that Steph hadn't grown into the role of getting a bucket whenever he wanted to. I'm watching IG and TikTok, and they're literally psychoanalyzing that. Like, was that a slight to Steph? Could he take it? Like, come on, y'all. I get it. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to talk about. But I think that's why athletes are starting to get frustrated. Because it's all day. You can go from 6 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon with 15 segments about Anthony Davis working out at 4:30 in the morning. Allegedly. Like, it's I get it. I try not to watch those shows as much anymore. I do more reading. If I want to figure out anything about sports, it's mainly because it's just clickbait, and it's especially the debating shows. I can't do them anymore. Other shows I can still watch a little bit, but it's so much over the top about players and not the game, but who they are. Like last about the new versus old media. I was mowing my grass today, and I'm listening to Undisputed just to see what they're talking about for the day. And they brought up Aaron Rodgers' tattoo. And they spent 15 minutes debating about the meaning behind Aaron Rodgers' tattoo. And it's more so Skip saying is that he's going through a midlife crisis because he got this. Like, come on, guys, do better. Talk about the game. Rate your, if you want to rate your top 10 players, but be objective. Like any top 10 that has LeBron at number 8 or 9 or 10 is null and void. Like they shouldn't even talk sports because, again, in my opinion, it is just for clicks. It's just to get people to watch to see what outlandish thing that you're going to say. And I was guilty of it the last 2 days because, again, I haven't watched a back-to-back day of Undisputed in a couple of years. I just can't do it. So I'm with you, Draymond. Keep putting out your content. Even during the finals when people are saying he should be working on his podcast. I mean, what else does he have to do? There's 2 games. There's 2 days. Some of those games, there's 1 day or at least 2 days sometimes in between games. He's going to watch film. He's going to work out. He's going to go to practice. Okay, those 3 things, let's say they take 4.5 hours, 5 hours. Okay, he's going to sleep. Let's say he sleeps for 8. That's 13 hours. Okay, so then he has, 11 hours left in his day. If he wants to record a podcast in his hotel room, clap your hands. It's smart. He sees the business side of sports, and it's capitalizing on his personality. I'm not the biggest Draymond fan from a basketball standpoint. I think he's a good player, a great role player, but nothing more. But his impact on the game, again, doesn't show on the stat sheet all the time. And I get that. I just think that him being on the Warriors has made him a better player than what he really is. Because when all the guys were out, his numbers were still, they weren't that good at all. But besides that, I like what he's doing with his own platform. Congrats to you. I love what JJ Redick's doing with this platform. Congrats to you. I love when JJ, I saw some clips when he's on First Take, and he goes at these guys. He says the truth. Like, yes, they would look at Kyrie as a wizard of the 1960s. Like, come on, man. Like, or I saw a clip where it was about the Westbrook thing when C.J. McCollum and J.J. Redick both asked Stephen A. Smith, like, give us why you're bringing this up. And he's just stunned. They didn't know what to say at that moment because they are somebody, they've been there. They understand the game from a different concept. So, good job. Now, what I don't like to see, though, is Kendrick Perkins and Draymond. Let's not go at each other like that. Y'all said some things against each other, and I get it. I think y'all should say those things in private, handle them through either email or a phone call, but I don't think you should be using your platforms in that space. Like, let's don't go at each other like that. Y'all better than that, man. You're grown men. Let's be examples. You're both in media. You're both talented. I mean, Perkins, you had an NBA career, so let's not say like, you weren't an all-star or anything like that, but you all had successful NBA careers, and let's leave it at that. Okay, so let's talk about Miles Bridges. Like, something a lot of people aren't bringing up on Sports Talk, but man, you talk about ruining your life. One, very sad what he did to his wife. You should never put your hands on a female. I don't care. Walk away. Get out of there. Take a deep breath. Separate. Just never be in a position where you have to use violence. There's never a need for that in that space. To allow a young man to allow someone to put you in a space where that's how you want to act is not right. You should never, ever do that. You should always be in control of your emotions more so than to put your hands on somebody. And very sad because it's going to cost him heavily in his career. You know, he was a young man who was about to get a big contract. You know, he's looking upwards of $130 to $150 million. And he's not getting that right now. And so we'll see with the courts, you know, how they play that out. But I did want to bring that up. A very sad situation that he and his family are in. Hopefully through some counseling, he can navigate through this. Because again, you should never, ever go that route towards your spouse. All right, so let me get to the Warriors. We'll get to free agency in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and, you know, major props to the Warriors, man. I mean, all right, so here's going back to the media thing. This is the reason why I picked Boston. So it's not because I'm a hater of the Warriors. It is, I knew Clay wasn't at 100%. He's not there yet. I thought Jordan Poole just couldn't get it done when the lights were at its brightest, and he really didn't do a lot in the finals. I thought that the Celtics would be able to do a better job of making life more difficult than for Steph. And that was proved completely wrong. So I thought that with Tatum and Jaylen Brown, that Boston had two guys that can go get their own shot when needed. And I thought with the Warriors, Steph would wear down. Wiggins played phenomenal. He proved why he was the first pick in the draft years ago. He proved also that sometimes it's the personality of a player and the that's the right word, the culture of the team that allows somebody to thrive. You think of the Warriors' culture. They're not like, you know, wherever LeBron, you know, ends up, where the culture becomes around LeBron. The Warriors have their own culture of how they do everything, you know, and then they have the best leader leading that in Steph Curry, because he's such a selfless, high-level player, such a selfless, all-time great player. And so everybody else kind of falls in line with that. Same with the Spurs. I think they're in the rebuilding phase right now, but for the past 25 years, the Spurs have been a team of consistency, a team of culture, a team of, we do it the Spurs way. That's what they say here out in San Antonio. Same with Miami. Miami has a culture about them. I think the Raptors are getting a culture about them. And so I think with the Warriors, you know, big ups. That's the reason why. But going back to, I picked the Celtics thinking that Tatum and Brown can carry the load and Curry would wear down. Big ups to Curry, proved me wrong. MVP of the finals, and almost everybody's top 10 or top 15 players. He's moving into that conversation. I'll give my top 10 one day. My top 10 really is I'm not gonna have certain guys on there that I never got to see. You know, you play in the 60s, you're not in the top 10. To me, just to me, I can't just go by other stats. But no, Curry's, you know, in that bubble for me of top 10 players of all time, and that did put him in there. He's got 4 titles, and he's got his Finals MVP. He's got 2 regular season MVPs. He's got unanimous MVP. So, you know, in the way the Warriors are set up, as long as they don't go get KD, man, they're set up for another 5-year run. Like, if Wiseman can come through, if Kuminga turns into anything that they think he could become, you know, if Poole continues to play well, you know, their development there at the Warriors, from a skill standpoint of their players, is through the roof. Like, even if you look at Steph's game today as it was in 2016 against the Cavs in the finals, totally different guy. I think he's stronger. I think he's bigger, quicker. And now he's just not. If you run him off the line, it doesn't matter. He's going to hit a pull-up. He's going to hit a fadeaway. He's going. Man, it's unlimited. But you know, shout out to the Warriors winning the title. No hate here. You got it done. All right, so let's just go into free agency. This is the last topic, free agency. All right, so you might not know this, but for those that don't, for those that do, only pay attention. But for those that don't understand, like, so everybody talks about the max player in the NBA, but there's like 3 levels of a max player. So the lowest level is like your rookie max or your 4 to 6 year guy max. A guy that's been in the NBA for 4 to 6 years, and he gets 25% of the cap. So wherever the cap is for the NBA season, he can command 25% of the salary. Then you got your middle of the road max player, which is 30%. A lot of times it falls on guys that played in the NBA for 7 to 9 years. That's a designated time. But then sometimes it falls under the 4 to 6 years if you have the Derrick Rose rule, which is if you were the defensive player of the year, if you're the MVP, or if you're an all-NBA team that season, or 2 of the 3 previous seasons. And then you have your supermax. Your supermax is for guys 10 years in the league or 7 to 9 years and have those accolades that the Derrick Rose rule has. So MVP, first team all NBA and all those types of things, or defensive player of the year. So when you're shelling out these contracts, you need to know that, because it's basically where you're slotted. Like this guy's slotted here, like Jokic. He gets a super max because he was the MVP. So his contract is $264 million. Whereas somebody like Bradley Beal's 5-year deal is like $251 million, and Booker's $214 million. So different money for different guys, but it shows a revenue that the NBA has. When you think about it, 6 years ago, Mike Conley signed the richest NBA contract in NBA history. It was for I think it was 5 years, $153 million, and Jokic just signed 5 years for $264. Like that's over $100 million more on a max deal in 6 years. Imagine what these contracts are going to be in 6 more years. Woo-wee. Again, not knocking them. Make all the money you young men can. No knock. But some of the signings that these teams have done will limit what the teams can do going forward. And that just has to be said. Jokic, can't complain. Max, okay. But you already have Murray and Mike Porter Jr. under contract. Okay, so you can try to win a ring with that core. Bradley Beal, he signed for $251 with a no trade clause. I like Bradley Beal. I think he's a great player, but I don't think if you're paying him $50 million a season, you can't win a title. He can't be your $50 million a year guy. I think he could be a phenomenal second best player on a title team, third best player on a title team, but he can't be your lead dog. He's not Steph. He's not LeBron. He's not Giannis. He's not Kawhi. Because there's only a few of those guys. I mean, there's only a few of those guys in the league that are like that. I think the Brunson contract the Knicks gave was out. It's not outlandish. It's only 27 million a year, but you're now expecting this guy to go give you, 17-7, 18-9, around there. I don't think he's that guy, And then Anthony Simons got $100 million. Karl Anthony Towns re-up for $231. John Wall is going to help the Clippers big time. And he got all that money last year, and he still got his whatever, from the Rockets. So he signed with the Clippers, which is going to be a good move for them. Kevon Looney went back to the Warriors. And again, I'm not going over every single free agent. There's just, one, there's no time to do that. Two, a lot of these moves aren't, league shifting. I'll say that. Zion signed back with the Pelicans. Good for him. Hope he can stay healthy. And then Ja Morant, is back at Memphis. And again, they signed a rookie max slotted deals. So they're for $193, but they can go up to like $2 and some change if they hit certain criteria. Then the trades, man, Boston traded for Malcolm Brogdon and didn't give up really any rotational pieces to get him. And great move by them. I think he should come off the bench and let Marcus Smart continue to start. And then your crunch time lineup could be, Brogdon, Smart, Brown, Tatum, and Williams. I think that's a tough group to deal with. And then with Brogdon, you have more of a guy that could be more steady when they need to be steady in the games. And then I don't know what Minnesota's thinking. So not to knock, again, never knock a guy in the league, but there's a reason, in my opinion. Let's go over the trade first. So Utah sends Rudy Gobert to Minnesota for 4 players and 4 draft picks. Okay, great if Gobert can score. That's all I'm going to say. For me, you can't. So Rudy Gobert was a defensive player of the year, so he was able to sign for a supermax, which commands 35% of the cap. So you're paying this guy 30, I don't know the numbers, probably close to $40 million a year. You can't play him in the playoffs. All that defensive rating and all that stuff, he's a rim protector. That doesn't matter if nobody has to guard you in the playoffs. So for me, I could never give a guy, if I was a GM in the NBA or assistant GM and were able to give my 2 cents, I can't see myself giving a guy a supermax contract that can't score. Like, I need 20. Just because you can play defense and grab some rebounds. Like, everybody shoots threes in the NBA, and nobody crosses offensive glass. So it's not like it's hard to grab grab a defensive rebound. I'm not saying that it's the easiest job in the world. I'm just saying you got to give me something else. You got to be able to score. And if you can't do that, well, I'm sorry. I'll pay you $25 million a year, but I'm not getting 40. But yes, Minnesota made that trade. It's interesting to see how they're going to gel that. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns is not great on his feet to guard 4s, and Gobert is going to be playing the 5. So I guess they just want to make a splash, which is, great, but which leads me to my final topic of conversation today. Now, I'll be back in a few days with an interview. What are the Nets going to do with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving? All right, so we know, start with Kyrie. He opted into his contract, so he's under contract for the Nets this year. We know that Kevin Durant has 4 more years left on his deal, so it's not like he can walk away anyway. So Kyrie has not came out and said, trade me right now, but KD has came on out and said he wants to be traded. Now, you got to guess what kind of haul you're going to get for a player of his caliber, and just imagine what they're going to want once Gobert went for 4 number 1s. 4 first-round draft picks. What do you think KD is going to command? The wild thing about it is he has a list of teams he wants to go to. He wants to go to Miami, but then he wants these guys to be there still. He wants to go to Phoenix, but he wants these guys to be there still. Only the guys that he wants to be there would probably be included in the trade to get him because they're talented. Now, if I was a betting man, and I'm not, I don't think they trade him right now. I don't foresee it because you can't get anything in return. But if I am Brooklyn, I am calling the Warriors and just be like, hey, give me Kuminga, give me Moses Moody, give me Jordan Poole, give me Wiseman, some draft picks, and let's figure this thing out. But that's a base of the trade. Heck, I would even throw freaking Draymond in there. Nah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't break up the core that much. But that's something that the culture of the Warriors would have to look into. Because you could say, okay, I'm going to guarantee us maybe 1 or 2 more rings while Steph's still young enough to carry a load and that KD just come and be an assassin. Or I can let my young guys develop, and even when Steph starts to fade, these guys start to ascend. Similar to what the Spurs did with Tim Duncan and David Robinson, and then when Robinson, faded, Duncan ascended with Parker and Ginobili. Then as they started to fade, Kawhi started to ascend. So that's something like that with the Warriors, which is Wiseman. Think about it, he's the second pick of the draft. There's a reason why he was drafted so high. Once he starts to ascend, is when Curry's on his way down, and then they just continue a lot of winning. So, I mean, if I'm the Nets though, I'm calling the Warriors. I'm not calling anybody else. Y'all can't offer me anything. I get it. Draft picks are valuable, but unlike the NFL, where it's slotted by your record, NBA draft picks is a lottery. So you don't even know. You got to remember back in '97, Boston had 2 of the top 10 picks in the draft, and that was a draft of 10 Duncan, and they had the most odds to get Duncan, and they ended up with was it Chauncey Billups and Ron Mercer? That's who they ended up drafting, and Duncan went to the Spurs. So it's not guaranteed that just because you have a bunch of draft picks that you're gonna draft the best player, the most talented player, the guy that's gonna turn into a franchise player. So I don't know what they're gonna do with KD, but I would start with hey man, let's see what we can build. We just signed Claxton. We got Simmons coming back. We still got Kyrie here and KD. Now if you have, let's just say here's your starting lineup. These are all hypotheticals. Okay, you start KD, Ben Simmons, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, and Kyrie. Okay, or bring Joe Harris off the bench. Start Ben at the 1, Kyrie at the 2, Curry at the 3, KD at the 4, and Claxton at the 5. You got a nice team. You got a nice team to see what you could do. So let's not run from it, KD. Let's just see what you can do. And the ins and outs of the situation, I don't even know. But then leads me finally to Kyrie. I mean, you just bought a house in LA, so I'm pretty sure he's trying to get out there. But Lakers, I got a Laker hat on. I love LA. Second favorite team besides the Mavericks. Remember, I'm a players guy, not a teams guy more so. But you don't have anything other than the Westbrook contract to give to the Nets. And the Nets don't want Westbrook. And even if you get Kyrie, what have you just turned AD into? That's my thing when you have these big threes in the style that the Lakers, the style of LeBron, is LeBron takes the big and he turns into a spot-up shooter. So if you bring Kyrie over, AD turns into Kevin Love that plays defense. That's it. You're going to pay AD max dollar average, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 1.8 blocks. Same happened in Miami. Bosh signs. Bosh goes from a 24 and 12 guy to a 17 and 8. So I don't know how that works in LA as far as the dynamic, or unless LeBron says, I'm going to take a really big back seat, I'm scoring, and I'm just going to become a distributor. But we'll see. We don't know. But that's just my update on the NBA. A lot of things going on, even though it's the off season. It's been a soap opera with the trades, with guys all in their feelings. Summer League is underway. Just finished watching Orlando versus Houston. Shout out to anybody that went out to the the Summer League out in Vegas. Hopefully I'm there next year. But as always, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing, post comments, on the YouTube page, leave a comment and I'll comment back so we can have a little debate. Again, I appreciate everybody that listens as we're growing this platform, as I continue to put out more episodes at a faster clip. But enjoy the rest of your summer. And as always, be safe. I'm out.